Hey, my lovelies. Welcome to my channel. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the Daily Vibration. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. My name is Kamoy, and we are doing the Daily Vibration for today, May 15th, 2021. Can y'all believe that? We are pretty much halfway through the month. And we are almost halfway through our level up journey. We're now at 48 more days. We currently have 52 more days left to go, and it is Reflect and Revise Saturday. Now, if you're watching me via YouTube, Instagram, or YouTube rather, if you're watching me via YouTube and you're actually seeing me on camera, I do look like a little greasy today, and that is I have extra cocoa butter on. Y'all know I've been dealing with all of the allergies and the healing of my skin and drying of my skin, which is really like a transformation, shedding the old and getting, stepping into the new. So this is all part of my process that I'm going through. So if I look a little extra shiny on camera today, that's what's going on. I have on extra layers of coconut oil today. Now, Reflect and Revise Saturday, we're going to talk about how silence speaks volumes today as you're reflecting and revising on this beautiful, beautiful Saturday. Now, Saturday is ruled by Saturn, okay? And that's order, that's discipline, that's foundational energy, okay? Now, I want to say we got master number 55 in the date today. We also have master number 11, and we got master number 22 showing up in the date today, right? So if I had to tell a story of what these numbers are saying to us, is basically trust your intuition today. Watch your emotions, right? You could be walking in a lot of confidence today, but you can be a little bit overbearing, right? And that's just the double fives, right? However, with the double twos today, what you can find is a keen sense of perception. Like you could be spot on today, so you definitely gonna want to tap into that intuitive part of yourself and trust your intuition. You have a natural ability where you can read others today, especially if you're an empath, or especially if you just tuned in and tapped into you, okay? So you want to trust that part of you today. Now, with the double ones in the day, this is where the divine in you gets to express, or you get to allow your ego to oppress that part of you, right? So within the double 11s, or within the double ones rather, which is 11 today, you have expression of the divine through your ego, your verbal communication in the atmosphere today, your creative word, right? And your intention is what you can cultivate today with this double ones, okay? Now, let me just say this. With all of this energy going on in the day today, I really want you to stop and sit in some silence today before you respond to some things. Do you know that silence speaks volumes? Let me just say this to you guys. I went to school to become a professional audio engineer. Graduated and everything, y'all. I sure did. Got my diploma and everything. And one of the things that you learned in audio engineering school was there are different levels of sound. So basically, there really is no such thing as silence, right? Even within silence, you can hear very clearly if you are tuned into that particular frequency, right? Now, this is why you have dogs that can be tuned in to a lower frequency than the human ear. Like, when you blow a dog whistle, you, the human, can't hear this, but the dogs can, okay? So that's a frequency out of the range of humans, right? So how about if you stop and sit in silence today and listen to yourself, right? Listen to what's going on within the silence within you. Do you know sometimes when you sit and listen to yourself, you be having fucked up conversations with yourself? You be telling yourself all types of fucked up shit. This is what a lot of people don't understand. And then you want to know why things are not manifesting in your life. That is because you are in silence having fucked up conversations with yourself, validating fucked up things about yourself, or accepting fucked up things that other people told you about you, right? So when you sit in silence, silence can speak volumes. Silence can tell you exactly what your truth is. Do you know that? Try turning off the TV. Try turning off the radio and just listening to yourself. This is why a lot of people can't take the silence. There's too much going on when it's silent. Too much going on. And sometimes you may not necessarily like what you hear in that silence about yourself, what you've been saying about others, what you've been saying about your accomplishments, what you've been saying about your mistakes, what you've been saying about your abundance. You may not like what you find. You may not like that you find that you've been talking yourself out of shit. You may not like that. Today gives you an opportunity to stop, pause, and think in the silence, right? And listen in the silence. Listen in the silence, because silence speaks volumes, you know. And this is something that you can get even a greater understanding when you're having a conversation with people that you love or people that you value, right? Or people that are ready to accept their wrongs and are ready to maybe correct some things, or maybe ready to deal with some things. You can find that people that are ready to deal with things and you're confronting them about things, they get quiet. You can tell when you're speaking truth, people get quiet, because, honey, the truth will sit you in some silence. You know that, right? The truth will sit you in some silence to have you to reevaluate some things. So as you're moving throughout your day today, yeah, what you telling yourself in silence? Who is validating who you are in silence? Who are you waiting to validate you in silence, right? Are you waiting for someone to give you permission to love yourself, to be yourself? Is that the silent dialogue that you've been having with yourself? What is the silent conversation that you have with yourself? You have to think about these things, right? Because when you begin to think about these things, you are taking ownership for your feelings. You're taking ownership for your emotions. And now you're not placed in a position where you are someone else's emotional puppet. Now you don't have to have someone to tell you when to feel, when to move, when to cry, when to accept love. You don't have to do that, because you're now taking accountability and you are listening to the loudness, right? And to the wisdom. And I want to even say to the correction, to the confidence, okay? All of that you need, to the support, man, you can find all of that in silence. All of that. You can get checked in silence. You can get love in silence. You can get confirmation in silence. Silence speaks volumes. When is the last time you sat in some silence? Ask yourself that question. When is the last time you actually turned everything off and sat in some silence and listened to what was going on in your head? When is the last time that you did that? A lot of people don't do that. There's so much distractions in the world. A lot of people don't do that. A lot of people, if you're not scrolling through the screen, if you're not flicking the remote control, if you don't have some type of gadget going, right? If there's not some type of distraction there, then that's a problem for some people. Right? We have the sun in Taurus, second house energy. Pleasure, beauty, love, stability, right? Possessions, right? And then the responsibility that comes with being able to take care of those things, right? We have the moon that transitioned over to Cancer late yesterday, about 9:30 last night, right? So we had most of the day in Gemini. And so now we're in Cancer. That's the archetype of instincts, intuition, protective energy, right? Now, what you need to understand, we wave back and forth through different archetypes, from the archetype of Taurus, which is the second house, like I said, right? Then you have the archetype of Cancer, which is the fourth house. Now, the moon is in its ruling house. Cancer is ruled by the moon, which means that there's a deeper level of connection going on today, even within the numbers. You got double twos and double fives operating from the soul plane, operating from the emotional plane. You're going to have to be mindful, really, to check in today, okay? Because this double five, once again, it can become overbearing and it can have a huge bravado. So instead of confidence, it's just a huge bravado, you know, a whole bunch of ear, but nothing there to support that. And that's because some people is not tapping in and listening to the volumes that's being spoken in the silence. Stop trying to get others to validate how you feel. Stop trying to get others to validate how you think. Stop trying to get others to validate who you should be. Stop trying to get others to validate how you should love, how you should wear your hair, your makeup, your size. You don't need others to validate those things in you. These are things that you can validate within yourself, because silence, once again, speaks volumes. Volumes. Do you know that the only thing you need to tap into is your own uniqueness and your own individuality? Tap into accepting you. And you can begin to accept you by tapping into that silent place of you that speaks to your heart. A lot of people are afraid to go into the heart, right? Because then you find out in that silence that you are operating with unforgiveness. You find out within your silence that you operating in some jealousy. You find out with some silence that you are operating in some hatred. And what you call love is really not love, right? Because you're in relationships that's validating that you are not love. You're waiting for others to validate love that you already should be validating within yourself. You have people trauma bonding because they're not sitting in silence to listen. So you got a lot of relationships that may have dissolved over the changing climate this past year and a half, because a lot of people were in relationships that were no longer compatible with them. And we talked about this like in 2018, 2019. I told you guys that we stepped into a season where, especially if you were an empath, that you will no longer to be in relationships with a significant other that was not on your vibration. This was no longer a season where opposites attract as far as your energetic signature is concerned. Not your interest, but more about your energetic signature, which means if you are positive and optimistic, you will no longer be able to be with someone that's negative and lower vibrational, because that will drain the life out of you. That will drain the fucking life out of you. You won't have no energy. You won't have any strength. So we stepped into a season, and I told you guys like a year and a half ago that we had stepped into a season where you would have to come into relationships that are cultivating where you are energetically, or else it wasn't going to work. And if you chose to stay in those relationships, it could literally take you off of this plane. It could literally kill you. Yes, it could. Stress. Okay, so as you're moving throughout your day on Reflect and Revise Saturday, I really, really want you to think about the things that you tell yourself in silence. I want you to think about the things that you've been holding on to that others have told you in your silence. You know, because sometimes you give people too much headspace and they ain't paying no property taxes on that. Some people have too much of your mental headspace and they ain't paying no rent, right? So why you giving people and why you giving things and why you giving situations more energy and focus than you need to? Sometimes instead of focusing on the problem, which you think you are, when you get silent, you realize that you're not focusing on the problem. You're focusing on the opposite. If you are sitting back trying to figure out how to get somebody to do something, how to get somebody to change, how to get somebody to love you, how to get somebody to accept you, honey, you need to sit and listen to the volumes that's being spoken in your silence. At this stage of the game, you should not be looking outside of yourself for anything. First, give that to yourself and then watch you attract you. Give it to yourself. You want love, give love to yourself. You want acceptance, give that to yourself. And then you begin to attract people that gives love and that gives acceptance. Give that to yourself first. Stop waiting for other people to give you what you can give to yourself. And then, honestly speaking, that's the freedom that you can then extend to others. You know how freeing it is to be around people that's genuinely themselves. You know how freeing that can be? That can be amazingly freeing. So, move through your Saturday in your intention and in your creativity. We just had a new moon. Respecting the energy today can help you to tap into a keen insight on people, which means you can walk into a room and read the energy and trust yourself when you read the energy. Okay? And let me just make a disclaimer right here. I'm not talking about trust yourself when you're not holding yourself accountable for shit. Okay, so I'm not saying trust yourself for you to say, oh, woe is me type energy. No. I'm talking about trusting yourself when you know that you've been doing the work. Trust yourself when you know that this is not my shit. I came into this room and I was good. This is not my shit. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the people that's energetically dumping or emotionally dumping. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking to those of you that know that you've been doing your work. Those of you that know that you've been applying the lessons that you've been learning. All right, so today, sit in some silence and allow silence to speak volumes to you today. All right, embrace the wisdom that's coming forward. You got a lot of it here today. Double fives and double twos, intuitive energy, soulful energy. Also emotional energy, because we got Cancer in the moon, so you can have a lot of people being overly emotional. All right, my loves. Y'all know the deal. Don't be afraid of the dark, okay? Do something kind for yourself. Love yourself. Respect yourself. Honor yourself, all right? Now, also, I gotta say, if you have not joined the VIP lecture, you still can, okay? It's a $75 donation, but you have access to the lectures, which happens every Saturday from now until July 3rd. So you will have access to all of those lectures for a $75 donation. So in those lectures, we're literally taking everything that we talk about in the daily vibration and we're breaking it down to see how you can simplify that and apply that to your daily life, okay? It's all about self-mastery. All about self-mastery. Okay. All right, my loves. I'm going to see you guys in tomorrow's daily vibration. You want to make sure that you do something kind for yourself. You want to honor yourself. You want to love yourself. And I will see you guys in tomorrow's daily vibration. Bye, my loves.